this is the lifeblood of the Philadelphia Flyers that we have right here. So Lots, we appreciate you giving us a little bit of your time in summer. I know you're a popular guy, so hopefully we don't keep you too long. I'm sure your phone will be ringing for half the episode here. The boys will be wanting to know what
you look tan as shit, Scotty. Where are you?
Thank you. I spent a little time up by the lake this weekend, so that was nice, kind of recharge. But thanks for having me on, boys.
Yeah, we appreciate it. I'm calling you Lots.
I do look like I got some good color.
Yeah, you got some great color over there. I want to kind of give you shit right off the bat. I've only met you like 2 or 3 times, but I feel like we've had good banter every time. And I love to create narratives on this show. So I'm going to give you something that I'm looking to create right now. There was a clip last week of Danny Briere and Keith Jones going to the airport to pick up Matvei Michkov. I noticed that there was not one Flyers player there at the airport. You're an assistant captain for the team. So now I'm going to say, are we questioning the leadership of the Flyers going into next season that the players didn't go pick up Michkov?
You're such an asshole, Johnny. You're such an asshole. These guys are in Canada. They're all over the place. Quit it with your narrative-based questions.
I don't even know if Scotty heard it. Do you hear me, Scotty?
We might. Sorry, boys. I cut out there. I can't hear much, but no. Yeah, you're back now.
Oh, all right. Oh, okay. I thought that was a bit.
No. It's probably
sorry. Everyone was frozen on my screen. I couldn't see anything.
Oh, no way. All right. Look, so I got to do the whole thing again?
It's probably a good thing. Go ahead.
No, you cut off at when he picked up Michkov, so you can go from there.
So I was saying, I noticed that there was not one player at the airport. You're an assistant captain of the team. Don't you think there should be some players there to pick up this new prodigy for the Flyers? What's going on with the leadership in Philadelphia?
They were there. They were there for his first pitch. I saw Joel Farabee, a couple other guys, Yorkie, Forrester. So they're there. They're there in the gym supporting them. All the guys that stay local. But I don't know. We gotta call up Coots and see what's going on.
Were the guys giving him shit for that first pitch? That was rough.
Oh, that was rough.
I got a bad shoulder myself, so I can't say much. My throwing arm, I'm a second baseman in softball, and that's about the extent of it. So.
Well, look, I think that anybody who lives here in Philly knows that if they need a heavy hitter, they would have just sent Lots right to Russia to negotiate the buyout. That's what they would have used Lots for. They wouldn't have had him at the airport. He would have been doing the heavy hitting work in Russia to get this kid to come over here. But, look, we could talk about him the whole episode. I'm more curious from you as a guy who's been in Philadelphia since, a long time. Like, you're coming up on 10 years, having played games for the teams. I mean, you played with Danny Briere. I think your first year, you and Danny were even teammates, and you've seen different coaches come through, different GMs come through. I think the Flyers are known as one of the most loyal organizations there is. So I'm just curious for you, Lots, as a guy who every coach always seems to love because of the way that you play. What's your relationship been like, and what's the adjustment been like with John Tortorella since he came to Philadelphia, and he's been kind of changing the perception and sort of the way things are done, at least to the media and to the fans?
Yeah, I think it's been huge. I think you hear it in the media all the time from different people, but he holds you accountable every day. And it's been huge for our young guys, but not only our young guys, our older guys too. And I think it goes a long way in the room when sometimes someone gets benched, but you understand and older guys are getting it, younger guys are getting it, and everyone's on the same page. So I think guys really appreciate that. And obviously bringing in Danny and Jonesy, Dan Hilferty has been huge in the organization. The way they connect with the fans, just everything around the rink. I mean, you don't have that very often where they're coming in the room shaking your hand after every game. And that's what Mr. Snyder used to do. And they do it. And that really feels like a family. And somewhere where I've been my whole career, and somewhere where I would love to stay, and I love it there. I love everything about it, and but those guys have been huge, and Torts. I think the biggest change is probably training camp. I think I think that one you're thinking about that one all summer. So hopefully we can play deep into the summer this year and maybe get a lap or two off the Torts test.
Yeah, I was going to say it's been a while. I mean, since there's been playoff hockey in Philly, obviously you count the bubble, but the fans haven't been able to see, playoff hockey in quite some time. But something that, I had talked to you about, Morgan Frost, Bobby Brink, during the season when you guys came to New York, I think with like 3 games to go, you can really feel the joy in the Flyers locker room. Like, the Flyers and I'd say the Panthers are probably 2 of the more fun rooms I've been in, like in a post-morning skate or a post-game. And I'm curious if that drama that, obviously there was a lot of drama surrounding the Flyers this year away from the rink, but if that almost brought you guys together and brought you even closer. Some of the Torch clips we talked about on here and we broke down here during the season, but I imagine you guys are kind of sending it to each other and having a good laugh in the group chat and whatnot when he says some ridiculous shit or calls out a reporter. I got to imagine it's a good thing for you guys to bond over.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Torts too. I think he has your back, and the stuff that went on with Hazy and all that. He doesn't even play for the team anymore, and he's still kind of doing that. Yeah, so you know exactly. Well, maybe you don't know exactly what he's going to say, but you know exactly that he has your back and that he's going to fight for you. And that's how it feels around the organization. And like you said, we have a good time. We come to work every day. Torts is good during the year at giving us some days off and some rest. And you come to work every day. And that's the number one rule. So, yeah, it's great. We have a good mixture of young and older guys and guys that are the younger guys that kind of have to take the next step here for us to do anything. But it's exciting, and we're starting to get some energy back in the building and playing hard. It was really heartbreaking at the end of the year. I think that was probably the toughest year for me, being in a playoff spot since January. You go on a skid like that, but it was even before the skid where you have big metro games that you need to win and kind of solidify yourself, and we didn't do that. So it took a while to get over that and to not wish that you were in the playoffs. You know, playing at MSG in the first round would have been pretty cool for a lot of our guys on the road. And then at Philly, it's I've told the guys before, there's nothing like playoff hockey in Philly. It's crazy. You're going in the summertime, and it's amazing. So yeah, it would have been cool, but you live and you learn, and we get to put our best foot forward for this year, and it's exciting to get back there. I think we've been itching. It's a long summer, and you want to get back.
Yeah, well,
Kobe, do you want to tell him or should I?
I could tell you this, Lots. Johnny and I had a bet. I don't remember when it was. It was probably around, I don't know.
I think it was like February.
And I bet him, I bet dinner at Catch that you guys would make the playoffs. Johnny took the other side of that bet. And he even gave me chance. Well, listen, he's the biggest Rangers super fan you ever met, but
there you go. I only agreed to do the show because I knew you were on it.
Yeah, well, and then I had to mess with Johnny when he's like, "Yeah, have you ever met Scott Laughton?" I'm like, "Nah, I think I passed by him in the hallway a couple of times, but I've never actually."
Well, when Loft said you were a great guy, I was wondering if he actually ever met you.
No, obviously didn't know me very well, right? But so I was riding with you guys, and honestly, like one of the turning points for me was when Torts actually did that whole, having Hazy's back. I thought that was it. I was sort of slowly changing my perception about Torts. And look, I've known Cam forever. So Cam has a point of view on Torts that's on one extreme. And then Tony D has a view on Torts that's probably the other extreme. And then there's guys that are all in the middle, right? So, I was kind of like, look, I've never really met him. I've never played for him, obviously, but I've met him. But I was just unsure. And time after time, I found myself like, wow, like I really agree with that. And I really appreciate that. And that's like pretty good honesty. And then when he went out on a limb for Hazy, like that just sort of, it really changed my perception. Cause I was just like, wow, like I know Hazy and him, they butted heads. For him to still do that, it shows you that it's not personal with him. He has an expectation on the ice. and it's not personal. And that's a lot what Danny, I had that conversation with Danny. We were at Caden Briere's birthday party, and it was right after the whole Sean Couturier thing. And, I said to Danny, like, how are you managing that? Like, Sean Couturier and you really go back, like you guys have deep ties together. And he said, like, it's never personal with Torts. It's about hockey, and he lets him do his thing. And so it was interesting to be back in the market last year, Scott. Like, obviously we moved back. Otherwise, we'd see each other in Chicago here and there, but it definitely changed my point of view on him. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that media people do that kind of shit all the time, and seeing Torts go on a limb and do that, it touched some part of my heart that I was like, wow, okay, like I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He has your back, and like you said, it's not personal. He's trying to do what he thinks is best for the team at that time, and everyone's gotten it at some point throughout the year. You're gonna get it at some time, and I think it's how you handle it too. And I think guys have done a good job. Guys have a ton of respect for Torts in the room and the staff. So it's you're itching to get back at it. It's a long summer watching the playoffs and seeing all that, and so it's exciting to get back.
I don't know how I'm going to phrase this, but with you guys having a lot of younger players in the team, Colby and our producer Vic always give me shit for like the way that I speak sometimes, even though I'm 28, like I'm not really a young guy anymore, but
No,
Colby's much older than I am. Is there ever a time where like, Brink or Forrester or York and Drysdale, like they're just kind of shooting the shit and you overhear it, or Torts overhears it and goes like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Like, just with the modern lingo or language that some of the kids have now, I got to imagine there's like a funny interaction with Torts in there or you somehow.
Yeah, I think just on a day-to-day basis, some of the stuff that some of the younger guys say or the older guys say, Torts will just kind of walk by and tell you to shut the fuck up, something like that. Like just something funny. Like you're always laughing about it too. Like it's it's different, I think, but you have those interactions throughout the year. TK is pretty good at stirring them up, and we had one clip in Tampa this year. It was the cup ceremony in Tampa, and Torts was a coach there. So TK was giving him some jabs about that throughout.
Didn't he get ejected that game?
But yeah, it's been really good.
Isn't that the game he got thrown out of?
Oh no, boys, we're frozen again.
Oh no. Let us know when we're back.
Well, you can hear the sincerity behind it with Scott, the way he's talking about him, and there's a reason that teams are always wanting to trade for you, and the Flyers just continually say no. And it's not for lack of good offers. It's not. They get good offers for you. But Danny's basically told teams, if you want this guy, you're going to have to pay a king's ransom just because of how important you are to the locker room. So just kind of hearing you talk about this stuff and getting to see it, we were neighbors. And so we spent a lot of time at least around one another. And so I got to sort of see it. What did you make of the whole Travis Konechny? He gets the big deal, which I'm super pumped for him. I think it's well-deserved. I think it's a great deal, but I loved how Sanheim tweeted, and I know you're not a big social media guy, but I'm sure you saw it. He tweeted some like sarcastic report, and then like 4 minutes later, they announced it. I mean, I assume you were well-versed in what was going on there.
Yeah, I saw it actually after the fact. I saw it like maybe an hour later, so I texted TK right away, but then I saw it on Twitter. But Sandy's always the guy in the room, like breaking trades, like guys sign. He's right away, like the first guy to say it. So it's like, it's actually pretty fitting. And they probably talked about it. They live across the street from each other. Like they go everywhere together. So they're not too far apart wherever you see them. But it was hilarious. I actually tweeted at him, Bobby. We're like Bob McKenzie. We call him Bob McKenzie because he breaks everything. So we were on the bus one time. You were probably still living in Philly, but we were on the bus, and I just signed, and then Raf got traded, and then we were on the
Oh, to
bus.
Dallas, right? I was,
Yeah.
because I was living there when that happened. Yep.
Yeah, so we were on the bus, and Eric Gustafson got traded, but he had no idea. And of course, Fanny's like, "Hey, man, like, what's going on?" And he's like, "I don't know, like, I'm going on the bus." And he's like, "Yeah, I think he got traded." So he broke that one to Gussie, but no, he's always the first guy to be right on it. So we gave him the insider nickname.
He's getting. Did his wedding happen already, or is that in the next couple weekends?
That's this weekend, yeah.
Oh, so that'll probably be a good time. We were just with Reamer in Woodstock a couple weekends ago, and he said his last run of the summer was way up north to Sanheim's wedding. So I'm sure you guys won't have any fun at that event.
Yeah, I'm gonna go see Reamer after and work out with him and skate with him a little bit in Minnesota. So it'll be nice to go down and see him for the first time in a little bit.
He's got a really good pad there in Minnesota. Like he went all in on that house.
This guy's Michael Jordan in that house. I couldn't believe it walking around that place. He brought us there a couple of years ago during the year. I was in shock. His gym is massive.
You know, between how meticulous he is and how exquisite Lauren's taste is, they weren't going to miss the beat in that house.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I actually want to, stay on that trade deadline thing really quick, because I saw a tweet. I always like look up funny things on Twitter, or I try to whenever we guest on. And I saw a girl named Steph tweeted on March 18th, 2022. Why is no one talking about the fact that poor Scott Laughton keeps losing his best friends at the trade deadline? And I'm just curious if that's an actual trend of yours, and maybe who is the hardest to see go.
It is a trend, and but also like when you're going into year 11 with the same team, I think obviously there's a lot of turnover, and throughout you see it just looking at old pictures of teams and how many guys are still left there and stuff like that. But the hardest for me was Raph, for sure. Like he was at my wedding party. He's one of a kind, and one of the funniest guys I've ever met. So right after I signed, he got traded, and then I was just like, oh no, like I hung out with him every road trip. We lived together in the same building as Colby, and we just spent a ton of time together. Like we'd always go down to the pool, sauna, steam, we'd hang out every single day. So that was tough. And then throughout the years, like guys like Robert Hagg and Ghost, and there's so many guys that got traded near that time that even the summer trades though, like you're riding the bike or something. Like I remember riding the bike, and they're like, my trainer came up to me, he's like, "Hey, Gudis just got traded." I'm like, oh fuck, like he was in the same building, because we had 6 guys in the same building, so we were always together, driving everywhere together. So once that got depleted, I got out of there, and then moved away. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough seeing guys go, especially guys you build relationships with, and JVR is one of those guys that you just know you're going to have a lifelong friendship with, and you make new connections as well, and guys that come in that are really good guys too. It's hard to find a bad guy in hockey.
Yeah, Radko, we physically lived on the same floor, and I mean they were the best. I mean, I thought it was so cool when Florida won the Stanley Cup, and they're interviewing Paul Maurice right after they win the Cup. Yeah. And he brings up Radko's name in his like championship interview. And I thought that was kind of speaking to, did we lose you again, Lots? Are you with us, or you got us? We might be a little frozen. Because
I will say, when I was texting Scotty today, he said, he asked if we could do the show tomorrow because his wife picked the computer, so he's on his phone. And
you got us? So
yeah, I got you again. Sorry.
I was saying, I thought it was unreal how Paul Maurice gave Gudis a shout out in his post Stanley Cup interview. Because you just see how much that guy, people just think, oh, he's like a goon. Like he means so much to a room. I mean, it's like he's such a valuable guy. And Hag was like that, a valuable guy, and Roth. I mean, those guys were all salt of the earth type of guys. I remember when he got traded, I was like coming home, and he was like leaving to go get his car to go to the airport. And it's just, you're right. It's hard to see, but you've been with the Flyers 11 years. I can't imagine the names that have come and gone since you've been there, but smart move to get out of there, because that building, I think, was probably cursed.
Yeah, yeah, it's such a good point. And like you said, like Goody and all these guys that you like, every guy I talk to is like, oh, Goody, like whatever, because the way he plays and hits guys. But it's like, you meet this guy, he's the nicest guy in the
Best
world.
guy.
Like, and everyone loves him that plays with him, and that just goes to show like what Maurice said about him, because it's so true about that guy, and he brings people together. So. And I love Maurice's shirt at the parade with the two cats on the. I thought that was pretty.
His wife she would make like stews, like they're obviously they're European. They eat sort of different, whatever. She would make these like crazy stews, and they would take all the bones, and he would come over, or someone would come over and give them to my dog. Like, they'd be like, oh, we're going to throw these out. We might as well give them to your dog. Like, they were just really thoughtful people, really thoughtful people. So I was happy when he got paid. I know he's out in Cali now paying big taxes, but at least he got paid. So good for him. He's a guy it's easy to root for Radko Gudas.
100%.
It's funny, actually. I have one Radko Gudas story. I interviewed him on Stanley Cup Final Media Day in 2023, and we asked every player that we talked to how much they think the cup weighs, and everyone usually guessed like around 30 pounds or like 40 pounds. He said 85. I was like, dude, like, if you win that thing, I hope you're prepared to lift it then, 85 pounds.
But kilos.
Yeah, it's insane. But Scotty, I want to like rewind back to last season, those last 3 games. You guys win 2 to stay alive in the final game. And I know obviously it's a tough pill to swallow the way you guys lost to Washington to end the year. And I'm sure it was hard to talk about it, after the fact. But in that moment, were you still, obviously I think you guys lost like 7 or 8 in a row, like kind of prior to those 3. Were you still able to see the positives, even though the year ended the way it did? Like, are you still appreciative of how it went, or is it still kind of now a chip on your shoulder for next year and you guys really had it and let it slip? Which kind of view do you have on it?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both, honestly. Like, I think we know we can do it, and guys believe that in the room, and I think that's the first step is belief within your room. You look at the guys around the room, and it's there. So I think that's huge to have, especially some of the games we won throughout the year against big teams and on the road, 11 forwards sometimes. Like, we won some big games, and guys stepped up. So I think you always have to have that chip on your shoulder, and I think we're starting to get back to that, where we're going into buildings and we know we can beat a team, even if people aren't saying it. I think we have that inner belief. So I think that's huge, and you take some positives from it. I think it's still pretty hard to take some positives after you miss the playoffs again. And everyone's, I know we're in a little bit of a rebuild and stuff, but I think for guys to get that experience, I know I got into a couple games in 2014, and then I got into the playoffs in 2016 against Pittsburgh. We weren't able to get out of the first round, but having that and just going back to that and feeling the energy in Philadelphia was special. So I think the start of the year is huge for us, but to just maintain that consistency that I think we had this year. I know we lose 8 in a row, but in the years past, we've been way more inconsistent and haven't really strung wins together. So I think that's a big part of our team is to be able to do that.
Well, and I think anytime you lose your starting goalie abruptly in the middle of a season, I mean, that's I know it's not something people really talk about because it's like so persona non grata, and I'm not, we're not going there by any means, but you lose a starting goaltender. I mean, that's a real thing. How many teams can survive that? It's not easy. And now this year you guys will have, you know what your goaltending situation looks like. You know what Sam Erson can do. He's got a lot more experience. You've got this freaking massive Russian guy that we'll see, you know, give him opportunity to get through a training camp and a preseason and adjust. You know, last year, I think it's really difficult to just drop a guy in like that, especially in those situations. I don't think it was, I understand why they did it, but I don't think it's overly fair. So I think there'll be opportunity for you guys. And then I think it's going to be exciting. You've got this new Russian kid coming in. Danny took a risk drafting him. I think this was probably a kid who goes top 2 or 3 if teams knew how quickly he'd be able to come in. And I know between you and Coots and the rest of the vets, you guys will make this guy feel as at home as you possibly can. It's never easy coming from overseas. I played overseas. I know what it's like to need a translator. It's a difficult situation, but look, I think it'll be another opportunity for you guys. And I'm personally looking forward to seeing Mitchkoff and the goaltender and, you know, these young guys a year better, a year more used to Torts. I hope you guys can be exciting this year. It's more fun to live in this city, in this, you know, suburb, in this town when you guys are a good hockey team. So I'm hoping for the best for you guys.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. And I think it is exciting and exciting for the fans too, to have him come over and see what he's all about. And he's still so young. So I think there's got to be some patience there and let him get over. I'm not sure how much English he speaks either. So I think that's tough, but he's got some good guys there. Fedotov and Zamula, who's a great guy, who's been around us for quite some time now. So I think the comfortability level will be there, and we'll open the door and welcome him with open arms, because I think we all know what he can do on the ice, and excited. But I think there should be some patience there too with the start of the year and see how it goes.
Maybe we're gonna call him a bust 3 games in if he doesn't have a goal.
DJ Lotz will have to find some sort of Russian jingle for him once he scores his first goal, or you get that first win when he's got a lot of money on the board after that miserable first pitch at the Citizens Bank the other day. So
yeah, I can get it going.
Exactly. Anybody who knows you will not have any concerns that you won't find some good music and some good win songs for that team. So look, Scotty, we appreciate you coming on.
I got one more. You know, I got one more.
Well, every time I do this, you got to ask one more. And it's usually a dumb question. So ask him the last question, and then let's let him enjoy the rest of his summer. Okay, Johnny?
And it definitely is dumb, but it's also kind of hot seat. Scotty, does the date January 11th, 2025 mean anything to you?
I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but yeah.
Yeah, what is it?
I think Anaheim comes into town.
All right, that proves my point. Okay, the Cutter Gauthier game is on the calendar. It's marked down. It's marked down. I didn't even want to tell him what it was. The fact that he knows it says everything.
No, it's because he's going to see Radko. It's one of his best buddies. It's Goudas.
We already scheduled dinner the night before.
Fair enough. All right, fair enough. We're gonna cut the Goudas part out of it and make it seem like you got Cutter Gauthier marked down on the calendar.
It'll be Radicchio pregame meal and prime. What's the place right on Rittenhouse, the steakhouse where they do the knife presentation?
Oh, Barclay Prime.
Barclay Prime.
What a spot.
You know, they stopped doing the knife presentation, by the way.
I know,
they don't do that anymore, which is kind of disappointing.
I know, that was a nice touch. Best bread going though, and yeah.
Those popovers are money. So look, thanks for doing it. Say hi to your better half. Enjoy the wedding. I know you guys have that coming up. I'm sure that'll be, I said, that'll be a blast. And see you when you get back here in a couple of weeks. And we'll be looking forward to watching you get off to a good start. And hopefully we're not hearing you're not on the top of Frank Saravalli's trade targets board this year. So you don't have you don't have to worry, and your buddy Bob McKenzie can take it easy on you with the trade rumors.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on, and sorry about my Wi-Fi.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.